these folks over there at the Lutzie 43 Foundation, they're on top of it. They sent their good friend Doug Smith, a genuine friend of this show, by the way, joins us this morning. Hey, Doug, thank you for making the time. It's great to have you, man.
Oh, yeah. Hey, good morning, Jimmy Mack. How are you, Dave?
Hey, doing good, Doug. Thank you so much for joining us, and please send our best to Mike. It's horrible. Live like Lutz, love like Lutz, learn from Lutz, and then run like the Dickens, huh? Saturday afternoon.
Oh, yeah. Saturday was an amazing event. It was my first time, being there, but it was the 11th annual run that they've done since 2014, and it was great. We had over 833 runners that were either on site and or through virtual runnings that they set up in their local towns, homes, and so on. And then, but the big thing is we were able to raise over $90,000 for the
Wow.
mission that we've got about improving roadway safety and the message around distracted, impaired, and unsafe driving.
Wow, that's amazing. Run that 843?
Yeah, So the last count that we had was 833,
33.
and so yeah, so a majority of those were there in Marietta, Georgia, at Lassiter High School. The start finish line was on the 43-yard line of Lutzie 43 field, which Lassiter named after Philip after his passing, and so we had to start there and did a 5K. But we had folks, pictures from all over social media, friends of also the show, Jeremy Raymer and Dr. Mark Manera from Project 61. They hosted a virtual team. They put up images. And so we're just thankful that so many people across the country took part in it, even if they weren't able to be in Marietta with us.
Hmm.
You know, you and I have had a similar health journey. I keep up with you on the socials, and you're a guy who, like me, actually, there was a point in my life where I weighed 267 pounds.
Mm.
And I actually, and by the way, like my father has been doing, I made the commitment to kind of, lose it at a very gradual pace. And one of the things that doesn't get talked about a lot is that the healthier you are behind the wheel, the better a driver you are. People forget that too.
Yeah.
That a lot of stuff in regards to distracted driving, a lot of stuff in regards to your comfort behind the wheel, your reaction time, and all that stuff is really kind of dedicated to like how well you take care of yourself behind the wheel, not just from preventing yourself making good decisions and not driving impaired and not making what I call reckless decisions, but a lot of those decisions can be avoided by living a healthy lifestyle as well. And I was just kind of curious, Doug. We haven't gotten a chance to talk a lot about that journey of yours. Among all the other things, I won't lie to you. I can tell you, I have become a better driver since I got myself in shape.
Yeah.
I was like, I became aware of it just a couple of weeks ago. I was thinking about you guys, and I thought to myself, I said, I wonder if this has any impact. And then I kind of thought about what it was like to be heavy behind the wheel and what it's like to actually be, I mean, you haven't got to be like ripped, but it makes a big difference,
Right.
doesn't it?
It does, and again, what I consider, on my journey over the last 21 months or so, it's four different tiers, right? Like you do have physical, being healthy physically, but also mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, are all those, and that mental acuity that comes in that allows focus and so on. Because when I was 225 pounds, when I was driving, I found myself fatigued more. I found myself very lethargic when I was behind the wheel. I got very tired, and now it just with those firing it on all cylinders, there is just a better mental awareness, when I'm driving, and so there is less distractions that is happening.
It's amazing too that you never know what's going to distract you. And I'm going to tell you a very embarrassing story here.
Because that's what we do.
That's what we do. Yesterday, I'm in the car and I'm going down to the grocery store. And I'm at an intersection in my neighborhood that I'm every day. I'm there, right? Well, in this particular case, I come to the stop sign, and somebody over here has, right to my left, there was a little fender bender. So I'm looking over there and whoa, look at this. I wonder what's going on. Looks like everything's okay. And I go forward and don't you know, I hear a horn blasting at me because I didn't look to the right and there was a van coming down the street. Didn't hit me or anything like that. And I'm thinking, holy cow, how stupid. Look both. When I was a kid, we walked. I'm a child of the 50s. I was a little boy in the 50s, so we walked everywhere. And the first thing we learn when you get to an intersection, look both ways. And I'm thinking, my goodness day. So, yeah, it's not just playing with the radio or, you know, my wife will tell you, and I can relate to this too, having that dad hand coming back across that back seat in the car. Well, you know, a lady got arrested for that in California years ago, and that, I think, was the first known case of somebody getting a ticket for being, quote, distracted while driving. And that kind of started the thing. But what I'm getting at is you just never know what little distraction. So it's not the habitual distractions that we're talking about, texting while driving, or it's all. And I got caught, man, and I'm thinking, holy cow! I'm so glad you're on that I can tell this story because, you know, I've been driving since I was 15 years old, and I'm 76.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. I mean, it comes down to it, and that's where, you know, those 43 key seconds that we encourage everybody to take, you know, with the minute they get in their vehicle, before they start it, you know, make sure you've got a clear head, you know, and a clear head doesn't mean, you know, that you're not inebriated or you're not under the influence of something. It can also mean, you know, are you mentally sound? Are you emotionally sound? A story that I like to share is, you know, I met a truck driver recently. And we were talking a little bit, and he was like, "Yeah," he goes, "I'm just taking a few minutes," and I'm like, "Oh, I was at a gas station filling up, and just started talking to him, and I was like, "Well," I said, "You done filling up? You getting out?" And he's like, "No, I'm taking a few minutes." He's like, "You know, I had a really challenging conversation with my wife who's at home. I just moved over to this carrier, and you know, we're kind of in that gap period where the paychecks aren't lining up, and so that she's getting some mail and some bills and stuff, and it kind of got me worked up a little bit. So I'm just kind of taking a minute." And I was like, this is exactly what we're talking about with a clear head. You know, is he felt that he was not mentally ready to get behind the wheel of that tractor trailer. And, you know, so he took 5-10 minutes, and he, you know, I guess calmed himself and so on. And then he went on his way. But that's part of what clear heads is. You know, clear hands is, having that cell phone or a drink in your hand or eating while you're driving. But then clear eyes too, and making sure that your eyes are focused on what's around you, that environment. And, you know, I live in the South. We call it rubbernecking, you know, and that's where more crashes happen, because we're busy looking at the one that we just passed, or on the other side of the median, and we're not paying attention to what's around us. And so, rubbernecking can get you some accidents as well. But above everything, we definitely want people to wear their seatbelts, and that's what that fourth element is, and that's just click it. Wear that seatbelt. More often than not, it is going to save your life if you know, God forbid, something you know, does happen.
You know, I hadn't heard rubbernecking in years, but I think that's what happened to me the other day with the accident.
I wasn't going to place any blame, Dave. You
know? No, you can blame. No, I'll take. No, I will take that blame. But I want to ask you something. I have two automobiles. One is a 2011. One is a 2024. And I've talked about the 24 quite a bit because it's the same make and model, and so it's so advanced. The ADAS, the Advanced Driver Assist Systems, all of that stuff. Have we gotten any sense as to whether or not that has really made us safer or more complacent? And are we depending so much on technology that we think we have a pass now to say, well, you know what, the car is doing it, so I'm okay. Where are you guys on that? Has that been part and parcel of the discussion at this point yet?
I mean, that's a great question, and it's also a great point, and it is part of our messaging. I'll start with, we firmly believe that there are three pillars that come to what we call roadway safety. And the first one is going to be infrastructure, and that is where your Department of Transportations, whether at the state or the federal level, they are the absolute experts. They know where we need to widen roads. They know where a roundabout needs to go. They need to put rumble strips in. So roadway design. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The second pillar is that one that you're talking about, and that is vehicle design and the safety technology that goes into it. And then the third one is where the Lutzie 43 Foundation fits and so many other organizations, and that's driver behavior and the decision making that happens. So that second pillar, as far as technology, you'd have to talk to NHTSA or the DOT, Secretary Duffy's office or so on to get the data, I'm sure. But I believe that yes, the technology has made our roadways safer. We are actually down. We did the numbers for Georgia on Saturday. We kind of announced it that so far through the 100 days of summer, they've seen probably an 8 to 10% drop in roadway fatalities. And that trend looks like it's going to continue. So hopefully we still got to get through Labor Day. And then nationally, we have seen over the last 2-3 years that the larger number keeps ticking down. Obviously we want to see it get under 40,000 roadway fatalities, but the complacency side is interesting. That I think, again, if you look at some of the auto drives that are out there on some of the vehicles, the Teslas and so on, that maybe we have gotten complacent with that a little bit. But I will lean and err on the side of that. I believe that the safety technology has improved. I think, again, for example, the example that you gave, Dave, as far as that, without maybe that honk, but I know a vehicle that I drive, and I drive a 2020, would give me that audible and visual alert in my windshield, right? Where it's beep, 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 and and it lets you know that there's something upcoming. And that's I will admit it also. That's gotten me and saved me a couple times. So I will say technology, yes, but the complacency part is an interesting question.
I'm going to say this really quickly about the 43 seconds as well, because the story that Dave tells, and then we got to say goodbye to you because, man, by the way, thank you for staying on a little bit longer. But the 43 seconds is so crucial, especially when you first get into your car, because complacency happens in those first 5 minutes. That's where it really, really happens, because it takes us about 5 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes. We get in the car and we start driving, and we start going through what I call the rote operation of the drive. The idea of take the left, take the right, get out of the neighborhood onto a major thoroughfare, and then onto the interstate to start our day. Our brain doesn't start working until we get on the interstate. We're just kind of doing it rotely. The 43 seconds really is a kind of a way of saying, nope, the drive begins the moment I back out of my driveway. No, the drive begins the moment I begin to back the car out in the parking lot. And that seems to me that the complacency, that the 43 seconds is actually designed to prevent the complacency. That's fair, right, Doug?
Absolutely. I agree 100% with that. Your drive begins the minute you put the car into gear.
And the new car, I find I set the car up before I leave the driveway, if you know what I mean. Push this button, push that button, turn this on, turn this off. Because there are a few things you need to do, and you can do them after you've started driving, but right.
Set the navigation, and for our professional drivers that are listening, get that route set up, where your stops are and so on before you roll with that load. But yeah, I mean, again, anybody who's interested in 43 key seconds or the mission of the Lutzie 43 Foundation, you could go to lutzie43.org and check us out there. If you have questions, you can reach out to us. Mine is Doug at lutzie43.org. And again, we welcome any support that people are willing to help us out with. It's a big mission, and we've got a lot of really amazing things planned that we're going. And and we're just excited. And again, thank you so much for inviting us to be on and give an update on what we're up to.
Real quick, 833 people and how much money?
We're still calculating, but it's over. We raised over $90,000 for just at the road race. Yes, sir.
The Lutzie 43 road race in Marietta, Georgia, this past Saturday. Already looking forward to next year, and already looking forward to talking to you again. And best to Mike.
I appreciate it, Dave. Thank you, and Jimmy Mack. Thank you so much, and thank you to your team.
Thank you, sir. Doug Smith, as always, is a good friend to this show and a good friend to Nemo Nation and a good friend to all of you guys out there who make your living on the road, making sure you guys stay safe. Lutzie43.org. That is Lutzie 43.org. It's a great story, by the way, and it's a story of actually making sure that somebody's memory